why did we decide to write Bubbles and Crashes?
Yeah.
You answer that.
Well, we actually didn't want to write a book.
You didn't want to
initially.
write a book.
We had thought that we would end up just writing an academic paper or a series of papers about the problem of bubbles, and we had an insight into the idea that bubbles are economically important and relatively poorly understood, and we had
Because we wrote the paper on the .com boom and bust.
right. So we had that paper that came out, I guess, in 2009, and we thought, oh well, there are a whole set of bubbles that could have we could find out in the world, and we don't really have a general theory of bubbles, and so we initially thought, okay, we'll write a paper about that, and then we said, oh well, we want to study all these different technologies because we need to look at lots of different bubbles to understand what's similar and different across time, and how are they connected to really get a theory. And then we said, oh well, we'll write an edited volume. Remember, we were going to do an edited volume. We said, oh, we'll get some other scholars who are experts in all these other technologies
Turns
to
out
write chapters.
they wanted to do what they wanted to do. They didn't want to do what we wanted to do.
Yeah, they didn't want to look at it from our perspective. So in effect, we sort of ran out of alternatives and said, okay, well, I guess we have to write this book where we look at all these technologies ourselves, where we went back, we found the sample of technologies, we did developed a sort of systematic way of examining the commercialization and introduction of each technology, wrote up all these case studies, and then tried to develop a general theory looking across them. So that was really where it started, and the idea was, well, we need to be able to look at some technologies that create bubbles and some technologies that don't create bubbles, so that we can have a theory that explains why bubbles are formed. It's not enough to just look at instances of bubbles, because if we just look at bubbles, all we're doing is sampling on the dependent variable. We're not actually
one
getting
knows
any
what
causal
that means.
We're not getting any causal explanation.
You got to compare both kinds. Like in the book, we talk about horse racing. And so if you only look at the diets of winning horses, you're not going to learn why the horses won. You have to compare the winning horses to the ones that didn't win and see if their diets are actually different.